Everybody in this industry has a personal relationship with this plant. Even if you don't consume, it's helped someone out that you know and things like that. So I think if we keep our passion first, the revenue will follow.
Hey yo, we put free money where the mic is. He got it on lock like Rikers. Green rebates get you paid, so a lot of people like us. Money Talks Podcast, watch it on all your devices. Woo!
Welcome back to the Money Talks Podcast. This is the last episode of the Lucky Leap 2026 edition. Shawn, how you feeling,
I'm
man?
Outstanding, brother. I'm outstanding.
It's day 2. How's your Lucky Leap experience been?
You know, actually today's been actually a lot better. I think the cool after party yesterday, you know, everyone got loosened up, so yeah. I see a lot more people here today. I thought it would be a lot more yesterday, but no, it's been great. It's been great.
I think this is the best day 2 of a trade show I've ever seen.
You know what? I was saying the same thing to my colleague Cherie. Absolutely. So we were kind of feeling that way, and then absolutely. Yesterday I wasn't bumping into people, so today I was kind of bumping into people. So
totally. So,
yeah.
Tell me about you know, we talked a little bit off camera, but your experience. You're a decade in the cannabis industry, right?
Yes. So I started out actually running a Pubco in California. We had a Pubco, publicly traded cannabis corporation. So we actually started in delivery, and that kind of blew up. What's funny is that during COVID, we got on TMZ because we were delivering to people's homes, and we were actually number 3 arguably, because Ease was there, but it's not really it wasn't really a apples and oranges comparison. But you know, we got on TMZ for we're delivering cannabis to folks during the pandemic, and I had my spokesperson, who was a good friend of mine, rest in peace, Tiny Lister. Most people know him as Debo from the movie Fridays. So literally me and him would show up to people's houses on the sweepstakes every Friday in April 2020. And brought some happiness to the lockdown.
I remember that.
Dude.
Wait, was that in LA you said? Oh yeah, I lived
Absolutely.
in LA. I still live in LA,
Absolutely.
So I remember hearing about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So you know, but fast forward, we ended up opening our flagship dispensary on the corner of Hollywood and Vine, and things were really taking off. Unfortunately, some things happened in that market. As you know, California is a very terrible place to do business right now in cannabis. But so I exited that company. I helped my friend, kind of join her firm, New Holland Group, Jamie Pearson, who was High Times and most. What did she get quoted as? The Wonder Woman of cannabis. She's the most international. She's like the most interesting woman in cannabis, like the interesting man for Dos Equis. So we run that corporation, and also I joined just recently, and the reason why I'm here, my main mission to be here, is for Verdant Strategies. It's a fully tax and accounting firm owned by Rachel Wright. And as I was telling you, there's a lot of tax companies, and here's the thing, when you're dealing with cannabis, obviously you want to have correct books, but there are certain nuances of this industry that traditional CPAs and accounting and tax firms just don't have. And one is dealing with IRS Code 280E, which cripples a lot of companies. It did mine as well. So as I was telling you a story, Verdant Strategies has over 3,500 clients here and abroad. Of those, last year alone, she's saved those folks up to $60 million collectively, and most of that was from 280E. And a lot of folks try to either not pay it, or they would tuck it under COGS, or they put it under LLC and kind of hide it. And the thing is, we don't agree with paying 280E, obviously, in this industry. However, if let's say the powers that be don't lift this yet, it's going to take some time for the rescheduling to actually take its course. So obviously, day one, you cannot just stop paying taxes and act like it's Schedule 3. You have to wait for those regulations to develop and evolve, right? So her strategy is a secret sauce that I cannot reveal, but it was defended in court against the IRS 3 times, and she beat the feds. So I have not seen any other tax and accounting firm in this industry or outside that can do that and that can say that. So this is something where it's not just traditional bookkeeping. These folks are in there with you. And when you're combining, it also smooths out costs when you're paying a budgeting person who counts beans, and then you got to pay your tax preparer. They do all that stuff in-house, and it makes it seamless. So that's really the mission here. The fact that yeah, of course it's for business, right? But we have a proven solution that not just helps you, but it helps the industry, man. You know, we're trying to survive here. And the folks that has been in this for a decade, you've seen all these peaks and valleys, and it's really the strong that survive that kind of dig in and find these creative solutions, using your brain to find these creative solutions, not just adhering to the status quo and saying there must be a better way, right? And that's what I love about the firm, and these people that actually really care. Shout out to the team at Verdant Strategies, Rachel Wright, Cherie, Stephanie, all those folks, Charlene, all those folks. It's nice when businesses do what we're supposed to do, and collectively in this industry, I've seen this happen. I don't know if you have. When it started out, it was all about let's build this industry together. What I've seen, and it's my experience being on the board at formerly Benzinga, now Ignited, ICBC, MJ Biz, my biggest fear was this industry would start acting like a traditional industry, not in the good way, but in the bad way, where folks were kumbayaing, you know, trying to get, hey, you got a podcast, let me come over and cross promote, let's help each other out. Now it's kind of like pay to plays. What can you do for me? Especially in LA, and that's because many people have been screwed. You know, many people have been screwed. So I'd like to see this thing get back to that collective effort to drive this industry forward out of its infancy, because we're still in our infancy, we're still in startup mode for most of us. But we do need to treat it like a traditional market. And what I mean by that is doing your books correctly, running your back office the way you're supposed to. And that's the only way we're going to be validated by the traditional markets, because they still see us as an over-bloviated hobby.
Right.
You know?
Do you still see a lot of the pay-to-play? I mean, is pay-to-play now more prevalent than it's ever been? Or do you think in 2026 people are going back to like the importance of community and let's just help each other out?
I don't know, man. I see it more. I see people doubling down on trying to get revenue from paying to play. And I mean, even with booth spaces, you see these things rise, but also you see some of the quality kind of go down too. You pay for a sponsorship and you can't find your logo anywhere.
Yeah.
It happens, you know. It happens.
Yeah, we see it. We know it all too well. So, well, what about people that are trying to get into the cannabis industry in 2026? What's the first piece of advice you'd say? Whether it be like a dispensary, a grower, someone who wants to get into packaging, consulting, whatever. Like,
quite frankly, I think the best way to go if you want to enter this space without ever, I mean, it's tough to do that now. The entry barrier is not closed, but it is. It's easy to get into, but the problem is knowing where to go and who to trust. So I think the best thing that anyone can do is twofold. You got to attend these conferences. You have to attend these conferences, meet the people, find out who's who, because you don't do business with the products, you do business with people. And if you don't know people, you don't know business. Shout out to Barry University, I teach there as well, out of Miami. But I think you can find maybe a good consulting firm. New Holland Group, for instance, plug dropped. Find a good consulting firm in conjunction with going out to these conferences, because a consulting firm can kind of say, don't bother this or don't bother this. Or if you're going to these conferences, again, we know everybody in this industry, so we can say, go to talk to this person. If you're looking at getting into hemp beverages, if you're looking at, starting a CBD line or anything like that, because you'll throw your money away. It's like instead of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, it's being strategic about going into this industry.
What's the main thing people waste money on that you've noticed?
Packaging. Yeah, I think a lot of people waste money in packaging, and I'll give you an example. I'm Puerto Rican. Shout out to Puerto Rico.
Bad Bunny, baby.
Yeah, Bad Bunny. Shout out to Bad Bunny. He's also from my small neighborhood, which is weird. Vega Baja. Shout out. In Puerto Rico, it's still a medical market. However, we're not supposed to smoke it. So there is no pre-roll market. You can't do any of that there. They have these, pharmacy style, candy store type of models where you come in, you big thing of strain, you get it in a metal bottle and you leave. The biggest reason is because our demographic, for the most part, people can't afford that pass-through in cost when it comes to packaging. And you can have this crazy cool packaging, but honestly, we only just care about the plant. So just give us the plant, you know? And I think people, and we saw this in COVID, right? Everything was glass jars and then went to Mylar, right? But then we realized Mylar is actually better transportable, it's cheaper. I can slip it right here, right? And it doesn't break and all these things, it doesn't leak, you know, like the glass jars would and things like that. And so I think packaging is one of the biggest things people waste money on. I think that, and I think that people, you end up wasting more money by not doing your homework. You got to do your homework. You just can't. It's great to come up with an idea but sometimes people get siloed in that thought and they just go straight there. And that's why, again, you got to come to these conferences. You got to see what works. You got to talk to the industry experts and get a consulting firm to help you out. That's honestly I think that's the best way to do it. Hey, I want to do this. We'll tell you straight up, that's not going to happen. Right. You know, it's not going to happen. And that's free game. We don't charge you nothing until you become a client. So it's like, hey, you want to go in this direction? We'll set you up with some folks, and if it's something you want to do, then we'll talk to you. But I think that's the best thing. And if someone's going to charge you for a consultation, don't do it. Right. Don't do it. We're here to help people. And here's the thing: myself, my partner, all these folks, and most of us folks in the industry, we don't do this because we have to. We do it because we want to. And this is a crazy industry to stay into. So you know, if you're still here, you actually have passion about this planet. What's the coolest thing about this industry versus any other industry on the planet? Everybody in this industry has a personal relationship with this plant. Even if you don't consume, it's helped someone out that you know and things like that. So I think if we keep our passion first, the revenue will follow. But if you're looking at money first, it's never going to be enough.
Never going to, and no matter what industry, but especially the cannabis industry, if you come in just to make money.
Something really, really special to do. And again, this industry, despite the negativity, despite the stigmas, look, alcohol and tobacco literally do nothing for your health. It's literally poison, right? So there's so much studies about our plant, and it's not even breast the surface yet because it's not federally legal. There's no federal dollars in the research. It's all been private. So can you imagine when this thing does get, you know, rolling under Schedule 3 or possibly, you know, totally off the schedule? I think we're going to find out more about this plant than we ever freaking did. And that's the exciting part, and that's what keeps me in the industry. I want to see that.
You know, a lot of cannabis business owners, they go back and forth. Is it worth going to conferences? Booth space isn't cheap. Even getting a ticket to a conference isn't cheap. But I'm an advocate. Obviously, like, we try to go to as many as possible. So why is it worth it to attend conferences?
It's worth it if you attend the right conferences. And I have a potential client that I met here, and he was asking me about, you know, certain conferences. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to crap on any of them, but he was asking me about one conference versus the other, and I'm like, for you, and this is where consulting comes in, don't waste your money going to everything. You can't, right? And you should not. It's not cool for you or your shareholders, and like, why are you going to do this, that, and the other? But it is important to be seen. So there's levels to it, right? For instance, we're dividing and conquering right now. We're in a couple other places. So some places we have a booth where it matters. Some places we do not. It's better to just go walk around and network and meet the folks, because sometimes if you have a booth, it's hard to do business because you're stuck at the booth, right? Exactly. So, and then if you want to go out, then you got to hire booth people. Again, more costs, and you're already paying what, maybe 10 grand for the space,
it's insane, yeah.
Right? So again, I think if you don't know anything about it, and if you're on a limited budget, you want to use smart money, not dumb money. And that's where I think that a consulting firm comes in, and I think that it depends on what you're trying to get to. For Ignite It, if you're trying to talk to all the executives and all the decision makers in the multiple state operators and all this stuff, you go to stuff like that. You go to Ignite It. If you want to see what's going on with the international market, because that's coming, ICBC is the way to go. You know, obviously you got to just be at BizCon. You got to be at BizCon at some level. If you have a booth or you just attend, you just got to be there, right? And then the other ones, like this is an emerging market, man. I think I see good things coming to Minnesota, and I thought it was going to be smaller than this, and I was prepared for that, you know. But it's nice to see, and we'll be back for NECAN in May, you know, as well. Mm-hmm. So long story short to long answer to your short question.
So when someone says, you know what, I am going to attend this this conference, how do they get the most out of their experience, the most bang for their buck?
So what I would say is, look, first of all, don't just come to you got to be prepared. Make your money work better for you. So look at the sponsor lists. Look at the people that have registered to go. And if that information is not available, contact a coordinator and say, I'm looking for these specific people. Do your homework too. If I'm like, I want to check out Minnesota Cannabis Services, I'm going to look at that site first. I'm going to look at their LinkedIn. I'm going to look at everything before I can go in, so you can have a targeted attack. And that's me being a Marine, right? So we want to get in and out, with efficiency, but yet productivity. So shout out to Marine Corps. But so that's what I would say. Do your homework first. Just don't go. And I, for a person who I do consume, quite frankly, in all these years, I've never consumed at a conference. I've never have, So it's one of these things where there's some cool parties and stuff like that, but you owe it to your shareholders, you owe it to your investors, and you owe it to yourself. Just get in and get that work done.
Love it. Last question I got for you, because I feel like you're someone who leaves a great impression on everyone you talk to. What's your advice? Like, how does someone, because at these conferences you're talking to hundreds of people and it's so easy to just forget someone who gave you your business card and then they're just a piece of paper with a number and a name. How do you truly leave an impression on someone?
So what I do, I'm really bad with names. So what I do is, because I do meet a lot of people, so what I do, I'll meet the person, I'll say their name back to them, I'll take a picture of their card, because sometimes I'll lose them, and then I'll take a selfie with them and their product if possible, then I'll post them up. It's a nice mutual connection, and you leave an impression on that person's mind, like, oh, this guy's cool.
Wow, you take a selfie, then post it on your Instagram, tag them.
I'll do a story on that, and then I'll tag them, and then I know we'll stay in touch, and I can always use that as a resource, like, who's that guy again that, boom, let me type it in real quick, and then obviously we all do this with names, right? We put them in, met him at Lucky Leaf or whatever, so those types of things. I got that from Larry David, actually. So those are key things, because you don't want to. Everyone's important, man. And you never know. Somebody you thought, oh, well, okay, that's a nice booth, whatever, and then 3 years later, there's that guy again, right? Yeah. And the biggest thing I will say about doing business, and again, I'll say this again: if you don't know people, you don't know business. You're not doing business with your products. You're doing business with people. So if you have two tax accounting firms, right, and that's why it's important to go to these conferences so you can be seen, make these connections. I always just tell my execs when they go out and go to the conferences, you're not there to make a deal. If it happens, cool. You're there to make a connection. So later on, if I'm looking at 3 tax accounting firms, and I say I need one of them, they all are great, all 5 stars. But Rachel right at Verdant Strategy, she got me home from Vegas when I was too drunk to get home. I'm going with them, right? All things being equal. So that's the whole thing, man. Get out, meet the people, shake hands, kiss babies, do all that stuff. Be seen.
Awesome. So I'm sure there's a lot of people watching this that want to learn more about your journey, want to talk to you. Where can they find you? I'm on Instagram. My name, I am Shawn Cradle, ShawnCredle, on all platforms. Verdant Strategies as well, Verdant_Strategies and New Holland Group. That's it, brother. Thank you so much for sitting down with me. Money Talks Podcast.
But that's why it's important.
Yeah, I just wrote a rebate check, 500K, call free money, you can change your life in a day.